Hi everyone, how are we all? Welcome to Homo Sapiens. My name's Chris Sweeney. Look, I'm going to show you, I've got the fire on. Those on video, don't forget to go to at Homo Sapiens Pod on YouTube. Hi. Welcome, how are we all? I just saw a post on Instagram saying from Sean Fay that we will have I think she said we've got 2 to 3 business days before we can wrap up our hot takes on the Lily Allen album. I think that's quite funny because someone else said we need to stop the Lily Allen discourse before Wicked comes out. That just made me laugh. I think what's funny about the Lily Allen album discourse, as they say, online discourse, is talk about open relationships and the level at which I've got a cold, by the way, in case you can't hear. Which is why I'm not trundling across a field, which I normally would be talking to. But I looked at that weather, I looked at that wind and thought, no. But what I think is interesting is no one is shocked about the open relationship element, it doesn't seem. And so that's quite interesting. I can imagine that even 10 years ago being shocking. So even in the straight world, they are clearly a thing. I don't think I know many straight people in an open relationship. If you're a straight person listening, first things first, what are you doing here? Second, that's a joke, by the way. I love our straight listeners. And some of my best friends are straight. And are you in an open relationship? Please write in hello at homosapienspodcast.com, at Homo Sapiens on Instagram. We're here for one thing and one thing only, and that is your feedback. We've got your emails, your messages. I'm just going to dive on into the inbox. One of the first things I'm going to talk about actually is so Leighton was talking about how many queer venues are shutting down. Leighton Williams was last Thursday's episode. If you haven't listened, please go to the feed and have a listen, or you can watch it on YouTube. Kind of better to watch it on YouTube because you can see me and Leighton just cringing as we tell more and more embarrassing stories to each other. We were talking about how many queer venues were shutting down and how sad that is. And then I put something out on socials about it. Just a comprehensive list of all the places that have shut down. And it's kind of insane. So I shared a list of gay venues that have shut down, to LGBT queer venues, whatever, have shut down since 2014. And then loads of you commented actually that I had missed half of them. So that list is on Instagram. If you go on the Homo Sapiens Instagram and see that we've missed one, because I did the whole of the UK, please let us know. And the first thing I asked you all was like, why are they shutting down? Really interesting answers. So let's have a look. Portlander said dating apps stop people leaving the house if you can meet people from your sofa. Now, interesting you say that, but I actually heard a conversation the other day saying people aren't even using the dating apps anymore. Are you moving away from the dating apps? Can you please write in and let us know? Because apparently they're a bit glitchy and apparently people just use Instagram to message people. So let's talk about that. Hello at homosapienspodcast.com, at Homo Sapiens on Instagram. And then Rob wrote in saying, I can't say why all of these venues are too far from where I live to support regularly. However, the opposite is happening up here in Kendal. This week is the launch of a new queer dance night and drag night called Dolly. Take a look. Then, thank you, Rob. Dolly, that's good to hear that there is a new venue opening as well. Rob, Dolly, let's have a look. So let's tag Dolly. Rob then sent me the link, so I'll put that in the show notes. Kendal seems quite queer. Is that true, Rob? Is that what people feel? I think there's sort of cool stuff going on up there. I actually think that the coolest stuff is happening outside of um, London. Like, I think that what made London interesting and queer was always that there were cheap bits to live in where queer people would move because they were often the artists, and then they would start like a little local thing with their friends, and that would turn into like a club night, which might turn into a venue or whatever. Those places do not exist in London anymore. And so I feel like when I leave London, if I go to like Edinburgh or Manchester or whatever, I feel like, or Leeds, like I feel like I see more things that remind me of that there. I'm not seeing it in London. And I think that's also why you're only getting ticketed events like one single night rather than venues that cater to the queer community. However, there was actually a really interesting other opinion that someone wrote, because Gary said nightlife everywhere, it's not just gay that is, leaving. And Off the Hook said increased rent, more relaxed attitudes to queer life, although that can change. So Alistair said, I think it's a combination of things. General increase in acceptance around 2012, I think, saw people moving to non exclusive spaces. I also think that traditional spaces did not keep up with the times and remained underground, not particularly great places to spend time and money. Now the tide is shifting, the lost venues are now missed. Yeah, so the tide is shifting, I think, is sort of like the feeling that things are rowing back from how they used to be rights wise. Can I just say, over my shoulder is this really quite creepy mask that everyone can see if you're on YouTube. That, in January, I can tell you why that's there, but I can't tell you before then. It's a secret. It's very exciting though. Yes, I think that places did. I think general acceptance, what Alistair's saying, did happen, but I don't think. I think you can be gay in a straight bar and that's all right, but I don't think I don't know that I feel like that's quite the same thing. And what someone was saying to me that the Spurstow in East London has become a bit of a gay pub. So it's not specifically gay, but it's just a very gay space. And I think that's like East London, which is kind of, the leading edge in queerness, I would say. If I was going to try and be as gay as possible, I'd feel safest in East London. Um, and even that, I don't know, Spurstow feels kind of straight. Write in if you agree, but write in if you disagree. Hello at homosapienspodcast.com. Um, then we got a big old list of other venues, and then we got a lovely story from Brantus. I moved from Australia to London for a year in 2000. The first thing I did was grab a copy of the local queer press and walk the streets, knocking on doors of gay pubs, looking for a job. It was a great way to explore the city and the scene. I walked into the King William IV in Hampstead, and they were playing the Beautiful Thing soundtrack. Beautiful Thing being the film. If you haven't seen it, it is a beautiful thing. Do watch. Which was and is still one of my favourite queer films. Such a cute little pub, and it felt like it was meant to be. And I got a job there. This is cool. The King William IV in Hampstead. Right, I'm looking it up. Oh, I know this. I've not been in. I've seen this place. This is gay. Cute. Back to the email. I once served scary spicy G&T in there. Amazing. I also worked at West 5 in South Ealing. Now, I think I have been to West 5. That has shut down now. And I'm still in touch with friends from my time there. West 5 had great cabaret, and one time the owner manager got Hazel Dean to present me a surprise bottle of champagne for my birthday. Now, obviously, Bad Gay Man doesn't know who Hazel Dean is. I know of her, but I don't know. She, as a leading high energy artist, I'm Googling her. Searching, whatever I do, who's leaving who? Oh my god, she did Searching. Okay, yes, Hazel Dean. She gave you a bottle of champagne. That's cute. So sad to hear that W5 recently closed and the King William isn't so much of a gay pub these days. Okay, it's not. Such joyous memories of W5 and King William, and such an important, affirming part of my coming out journey. Don't you love that? You know what I also love is the idea that you were very front footed and just got that map and got that magazine and just walked the streets and found it. And they're in this world of Google Maps and all that kind of internet emailing stuff. I think is nothing beats the connection of going places, doing things, seeing things. So I think that's super interesting. So thank you very much, Brantus, for writing in and saying that. Lee wrote in to say, can we have a moment to realise how amazing Dutch politics are right now? Because there is a Dutch gay prime minister. The Netherlands has elects its youngest first openly gay prime minister, and he's engaged to a heartthrob Olympian, this article says. Rob Jetton, 38. Can you imagine running the country at 38? He secured a historic win in the election to beat Geert Wilders of the far-right Party for Freedom, which is chef's kiss. That is such a beautiful thing. And these two are super cute. You can find them on Instagram. They are this gorgeous couple. And let's have a read of what he says. I'm incredibly happy that we have become the biggest party in this election. A historic result for the D66. At the same time, I feel a great responsibility. I bet you do. You're 38 running a country. He added that, I think we've now shown to the rest of Europe and the world that it is possible to beat the populist movements if you campaign with a positive message for your country. This is what I think. It's like, being in New York, talking to people. It's so interesting that everyone who hates Trump is also slightly overthinking the counterattack, in my opinion, of, well, then you've got to do this, you've got to do that to win against Trump. You've still got to elect people who are a bit like Trump, but left wing. No, Obama won a campaign a long time ago, but the slogan was hope. And I think we have to get back to positivity if we want to beat the ridiculous right wing insanity that seems to be spreading populism. Can you tell I've been listening to The Rest is Politics? Anyway, these two, look them up. They're cute. They do TikTok dances, and they're making me feel really happy. So thank you very much, Lee, for reminding us of that. Oh, I posted this thing about would you go to a high school reunion, but just for everyone who turned out to be gay, which I love as an idea. Someone wrote in, yes, it would just be me and all 5 of my bullies, which is interesting. Who of the bullies at my school were gay? Just me. I don't know. I think interesting. I actually don't know who else in my year is gay, who I'm not in touch with. If you're in my year at school, hello at homosapienspodcast.com. Do write in, remind me. And I wanted to say thank you to everybody as well for writing in about doing the live event. So if we do the live event, or meetup is what I asked about, sorry. It was very scattered, everyone who wants to do things. So this is just another chance for anyone else who wants to be involved to write in. Then we're going to take a view and we'll decide what we're going to do. So thank you to everyone. But if you would like to come to a Homo Sapiens meetup, imagine if we posted something, would you buy a ticket? I'm also going to put it on socials, that's a reminder. So there was I last time we spoke, when I did a solo episode, where I said, we're talking about Jamie and his leather bars. And I was like, if anyone can recommend any more leather bars, do write in. And then I was like, anyway, so I'm off tonight to a place called the Eagle in New York when I was in New York. The Eagle is a leather bar. I was going to one that very night. Did I love it? I was really tired. I'm just going to be honest. I think I wasn't in the frame of mind to be there. It's very nice though. Do you know what I loved about New York nightlife that I didn't feel I have seen in London, but I have seen elsewhere, as per my previous comment? Every time you went into a gay bar in New York, it was really busy. There were loads of people. It felt like local. And I loved that feeling. And I don't know where I'd get that in England, actually. England, not even London. I mean, England. The UK, sorry. Next message, let's have a look. Craig has shared his sourdough recipe. I recently learned how to make sourdough, and the recipe I use is much easier than the one Jessie Ware seems to make. Okay, you take her on. Good luck to you, Craig. Yes, it does take time, but mostly it sits there doing itself. Well, we've all got friends like that. Sourdough bread, what it is and how to make it, and you've shared the link. So I'm Craig. I will take this to Jessie. We will talk it through, and then we will share it with all of you listeners, and then you listeners can decide which is better. We'll get Jessie's recipe. Let's have Jessie's recipe. Jessie's recipe. So then one listener got in touch and said, not really niche, and understanding this might be a mask leaning, but let's acknowledge the rise of a side as a preference. I have more to say on this, but I'm walking and typing a pet hate. Oh my God, I completely agree. So aside, let's do the definition. Aside, this is Google AI, so I'm just reading this out loud. I don't want to get it wrong. Side refers to a person who finds sexual fulfillment without anal penetration and instead prefers activities like oral sex, manual sex, and mutual masturbation. Coined in 2013, the term is primarily used within the gay community to provide a sexual identity outside the traditional top and bottom binary, acknowledging a wide range of sexual expression beyond intercourse. So, and there's this, I love Dr. Joe Court. He does a video about it. So let's put a link to that in the notes. Dr. Joe Court. What the term side means for gay men. Now, he's the one who he says he coined it. Yeah, so we should talk about so sides. Listen to me. Hello at homosapienspodcast.com. Are you a side? Have you been a side? I mean, let's hear from listeners if that has been a really helpful thing for you to hear. Do you think it's a taboo? Do you feel comfortable telling people? I would say I have had side experiences with people, you know, like sometimes you just don't want to get involved in all that messy stuff, especially if it's like a bit more of a one night stand. Anyway, that's my vibe. But let's hear from you, listeners. Hello at homosapienspodcast.com. Not many podcasts where you could go from sourdough to side are there. But thank God for this one, hey? There was one more email I wanted to read. I had an email about Manchester Pride from David. So, hello, Chris. Just wanted to respond to last week's email from Abby regarding Manchester Pride. As a local resident of the city, and as someone who marches in the parade every year, I share Abby's disappointment at what has happened and concern for the artists who have not been paid. In lighter news, however, Manchester Pride should be returning in 2026. Councillor Bev Craig, head of Manchester City Council, has said that they will support the event next year. I will put a link below for the full statement. I hope that Manchester Pride will return to its roots of being community and grassroots focused, as well as a fabulous party. So happy you've brought the podcast back. With best wishes, David. David Cross, thank you so much for getting in touch. Everybody, if you've been affected by Manchester Pride, if you've got feelings on Manchester Pride, hello at homosapienspodcast.com. That's it for me. I'm going to go and check my watch and see if I can take another Beecham's cold and flu. Anyone who's suffering with a winter cold, don't bother with Lemsip, don't bother with anything aside from Beecham's cold and flu. It is the best of the best. It turns you into a new person. Also, it doesn't have caffeine in, because caffeine in a whatever it's called pill, cold and flu pill, sends me delulu. So shout out Beecham's is all I can say. All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to write in hello at homosapienspodcast.com, at homosapiens on Instagram. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's important. Open your browser, go there, subscribe. I love you all, and thanks for listening. Bye now.